Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. We're going to be exploring an important topic: situational analysis, competitive, cooperative, and functional strategies. We'll also look into strategy formulation. In this session, I'll guide you through how these elements come together to shape effective strategies. So let's get started and see what we can learn today. Let's walk through our presentation agenda for today. We'll start with a summary of the key takeaways and open the floor for any questions you might have. Then, we'll dive into sourcing decisions, where we'll compare outsourcing and offshoring, two important strategies for managing operations globally. Next, we'll examine functional strategies, focusing on critical areas like marketing, R&D, and others that drive core business functions. We'll also explore corporate parenting, which is all about how corporate headquarters can add value to individual business units. Moving on, we'll look at corporate strategy, covering growth, stability, and retrenchment, and how these directions shape overall organizational direction. Then, we'll discuss cooperative strategies, including collusion and strategic alliances, which are about working together with other firms for mutual benefit. After that, we'll explore competitive strategies such as cost leadership, differentiation, and focus, methods companies use to gain a competitive edge. We'll also review situational analysis, emphasizing the SWOT framework: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That helps us understand the internal and external environment. Throughout this presentation, these points connect to the bigger picture of how organizations develop strategies to succeed in dynamic markets. Let's take a closer look at the situational analysis using the SWOT approach. First, we have external factors that could challenge the company's performance. These include things like new competitors entering the market or changes in regulations that might make our operations more difficult. These are what we call threats, and it's crucial to identify them early so we can develop strategies to mitigate their impact. On the flip side, there are external factors that we can actually leverage for our advantage. For instance, emerging markets or the removal of trade barriers can open up new opportunities for growth. These are opportunities that, if seized wisely, can help us expand and strengthen our position. Now, shifting to internal factors, these are aspects within the company that can either hinder or support our success. Weaknesses are internal limitations like outdated facilities or a weak supply chain, which could slow us down or make us vulnerable. Recognizing these weaknesses allows us to work on improving them. Finally, strengths are our internal capabilities that give us a competitive edge. Think about a strong brand reputation or proprietary technology. These are things that differentiate us from competitors and can be leveraged to achieve our strategic objectives. By understanding these four areas: threats, opportunities, weaknesses, and strengths, we can develop a comprehensive view of our current position and craft strategies that capitalize on our strengths and opportunities, while addressing or mitigating the threats and weaknesses. Let's take a closer look at strategy formulation through a situational analysis. On this slide, we start with the strengths. These are the internal capabilities that give a company an advantage. For example, Apple's brand reputation and its innovation culture are huge strengths that set it apart in the market. Recognizing these helps us understand what the company does well. Next, we consider weaknesses. These are internal limitations that might hinder progress. For instance, Apple might have a low market share in some regions, which indicates an area where there's room for growth or improvement. Moving outside the company, we examine opportunities. These are external possibilities that can be leveraged for growth. A prime example is the rapid growth of the electric vehicle or EV market, which presents significant opportunities for expansion. Finally, we look at threats. These are external challenges that could impact the company's success. Examples include the emergence of new competitors or evolving regulations that might impose constraints or increase costs. So, when we put all these elements together, we're conducting a SWOT analysis. This helps us understand where the company stands and guides us in formulating effective strategies. Recognizing strengths and opportunities allows us to build on them, while understanding weaknesses and threats helps us develop plans to mitigate risks. This analysis is a crucial part of aligning our strategic initiatives with the overall business environment. All right, let's dive into how companies can achieve a competitive advantage in the market. There are three main types of strategies to consider here: cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. Starting with cost leadership, this is about offering low-cost products to attract price-sensitive customers. Think of companies like Walmart, where the goal is to keep prices as low as possible to draw in a broad customer base. Next, we have differentiation. This strategy involves creating unique products that stand out in the market, allowing companies to charge premium prices. A good example is Tesla, which differentiates itself through innovative technology and design. Finally, there's the focus strategy. This means targeting a specific niche or segment of the market. For instance, Rolls-Royce targets luxury car buyers who seek exclusivity and high-end craftsmanship. Each of these approaches helps a business carve out its own space and gain a competitive edge. Remember, choosing the right strategy depends on your company's strengths and your target market. Now, let's take a closer look at Porter's generic strategies, which are essential for understanding how companies position themselves in the marketplace. First, we have focus. This strategy involves concentrating on a narrow buyer segment or niche market. For example, brands like Ferrari and Rolex excel in targeting specific, high-end customers who value exclusivity and luxury. By focusing on this niche, these companies can better meet their customers' unique needs and build strong brand loyalty. Next, there's the strategy of focus, but from a different angle, offering unique dimensions that customers truly value. This is known as differentiation. Think of Apple or Tesla. They stand out because they provide innovative, high-quality products that command a premium price. The key here is creating a perception of uniqueness that sets your brand apart from competitors. Finally, we have cost leadership, which is about becoming the lowest-cost producer in your industry. Companies like Walmart and Costco achieve this by streamlining operations and economies of scale. The goal is to offer similar quality products at lower prices, attracting price-sensitive customers and gaining a competitive edge. Linking this to our overall theme, these strategies are all about finding the right way to compete effectively, whether by narrowing focus, differentiating your offerings, or reducing costs. Each approach can help a business carve out a sustainable position in its market. Firms often collaborate to enhance their performance, and there are two main ways they do this. First, let's talk about collusion. This is essentially an agreement between competitors to control prices or output levels. Sometimes, these agreements are informal or are monitored by regulatory bodies to prevent unfair practices. A good example of this is OPEC, where member countries coordinate to manage oil supply and influence prices. By controlling output, they can stabilize or increase prices, which benefits their member nations. The second form of collaboration is strategic alliances. Unlike collusion, these are partnerships where companies share resources, knowledge, or capabilities to achieve mutual benefits. This approach helps reduce risks and boosts competitiveness. For instance, Starbucks and PepsiCo have a strategic alliance focused on beverage distribution. Through such partnerships, companies can leverage each other's strengths, expand their reach, and innovate more effectively. Both collusion and strategic alliances are examples of cooperative strategies. They show how firms work together, either informally or formally, to improve their market position and performance. It's all about finding ways to collaborate smartly to stay ahead in a competitive landscape. Now, let's look at cooperative strategies, which are all about firms working together to achieve mutual benefits. For example, we see Starbucks teaming up with Spotify to create a music ecosystem that enhances the customer experience, or Red Bull partnering with GoPro for content marketing that boosts both brands' visibility. The key idea here is that through partnerships, companies combine their resources and capabilities to create a competitive advantage that benefits both parties. Moving on, strategic alliances are a form of these partnerships, but they often involve more formal arrangements. The main point to remember is that these alliances are about collaboration, sharing resources, knowledge, or markets, to strengthen each firm's position. However, there are risks involved, such as legal action if the alliance crosses legal boundaries, or instability if one partner cheats or fails to uphold their commitments. Now, within these alliances, we sometimes see tacit or explicit cooperation. Explicit cooperation, like collusion, involves firms intentionally working together to reduce output and raise prices. While this can sometimes be illegal, what we call explicit collusion, many times firms cooperate tacitly, meaning they understand each other's actions without formal agreements. This mutual understanding can be just as impactful, but it often walks a fine legal line. Finally, collusion itself is a critical concept. It's when firms conspire, either openly or covertly, to manipulate the market, typically by fixing prices or limiting competition. It's important to recognize that while collusion can significantly harm consumers and competition, it remains a risky and often illegal strategy. Understanding these dynamics helps us see how firms might attempt to coordinate their actions to gain an advantage in the marketplace. Now, let's look at some of the key decisions regarding the scope and direction of an organization, which are critical for shaping its future. These decisions include defining our overall directional strategy and considering the role of corporate parenting, which involves how the parent company manages its various business units. When we talk about corporate directional strategies, one example that comes to mind is GE divesting its appliance division. This kind of move is often aimed at reducing the company's level of activities to turn around negative trends, a strategy known as turnaround or divestment. It helps the organization focus on areas where it can be more competitive. On the other hand, we have retrenchment strategies. Imagine a local bakery that chooses to maintain its quality and loyal customer base instead of expanding rapidly. This approach involves continuing current activities without significant change, which can be very effective in predictable or stable environments. Then there's the concept of stability strategies, which are about expanding the company's activities. For instance, Disney acquiring Pixar and Marvel is a classic example of growth through diversification and vertical integration. This strategy helps the company strengthen its market position and create new opportunities. Overall, these strategic choices about scope and direction are fundamental in guiding the organization's growth, stability, or recovery, aligning with the broader goals discussed earlier in the presentation. Now let's talk about corporate parenting. One of the key roles here is resource allocation, which is all about efficiently moving capital and talent to where they are most needed. This ensures that each business unit is well supported and can perform at its best. Next, there's the concept of the parenting advantage. Essentially, the parent company has a deeper understanding of its business units than they might have about themselves. This knowledge helps in making smarter decisions and providing better guidance. Overall, corporate parenting views the entire organization through the lens of resources and capabilities. The idea is to leverage these assets not only to build value within individual units, but also to create synergies across different parts of the company. This interconnected approach can unlock additional growth opportunities that might not be possible on a standalone basis. By adding value to each unit through strategic support and resource sharing, the parent company plays a crucial role in driving overall success. This aligns with our broader theme of how effective corporate management can enhance performance and foster sustainable growth. Let's take a closer look at the various functional strategies that support a company's overall strategic plan. Starting with marketing, this area focuses on pricing, promotion, and distribution. For example, companies might choose between a push strategy, where they actively promote to distributors, or a pull strategy, where they create demand directly with consumers. Moving on to finance, this function deals with the company's capital structure and dividend policy. A typical example is using debt financing to fund growth initiatives, which can amplify returns but also increases financial risk. In research and development, it's about balancing product innovation with process improvements. Think of Apple, which is renowned for its breakthrough product designs, or companies that innovate through refining manufacturing processes. Operations focus on efficiency and quality control. Implementing methodologies like Six Sigma helps reduce defects and streamline production, ultimately boosting profitability. Purchasing involves sourcing raw materials, and just-in-time procurement is a prime example. It helps minimize inventory costs by receiving materials exactly when needed, reducing waste and storage expenses. Logistics covers transportation and inventory management. Amazon's extensive fulfillment network is a great example, allowing for rapid delivery and efficient inventory turnover. Human resource management, or HRM, centers on attracting and retaining talent. Google, for example, offers unique employee perks that help engage and keep their workforce motivated. Finally, it leverages data to create competitive advantage. Big data analytics enables companies to understand customer behaviors, optimize operations, and innovate faster. Connecting all these functions, it's clear that each plays a vital role in executing strategic initiatives and driving overall success. Now, let's look at some of the benefits associated with offshoring and outsourcing. When a company moves a business process or facility to a foreign country, it can significantly reduce costs and gain access to global talent pools. For example, many organizations set up IT support teams in countries like India, where skilled professionals are available at a lower cost. This is a clear advantage of offshoring. It's about relocating operations abroad to save money and tap into specialized skills. On the other hand, outsourcing involves purchasing a service or product from an outside vendor instead of producing it in-house. A good example is Nike outsourcing its manufacturing. By doing this, companies can focus more on their core competencies, what they do best, while leaving other tasks to specialized partners. So, when making a sourcing decision, it's really about weighing these options, whether to move operations overseas or to outsource to external providers, to optimize costs, improve efficiency, and concentrate on what drives your business forward. Prepared by Vinod Goswami. goswamiv505@gmail.com. +91 87550 Thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope the information shared was helpful and insightful. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need further clarification. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of this presentation. Have a great day.